Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you an easy way to make a fondant teacup. It's actually flour and modelling paste that you're going to need to use, which is a kind of fondant, but it dries really hard, super hard, enough to withstand being moulded into shapes like petals. That's why it's called flour paste. Really fine work basically, and it dries really brittle, and this is the sort of icing that you need to make a teacup. Now, most of you have probably seen one of these in your life. They're just little dessert pots, you know, like when you get them treacle sponge pudding or like sticky toffee puddings that you put in the microwave. Well, give them a good wash, and these are perfect for making a teacup. As you can see, it's the same without the rim. I mean, you could cut that off if you wanted, but whatever. It's the same shape as a cup, a nice little fancy teacup. I'm going to use the black one because it's a tad bigger. So this is really tough. This is Renshaw flour and modelling paste. This is really tough on the old wrists, so you need to give it a good knead to make it nice and pliable to work with. As you can see, you know, some people will say put your fondant in the microwave, give it like a 5-second blast to get it nice and soft, but I don't know, I feel like maybe that dries it out a bit. I've got to admit though, in the winter I definitely do that, especially now that I've got carpal tunnel syndrome. So yeah, get some modelling paste and just give it a good go. And just a tip that never ever leave this uncovered. In fact, even just like folding it over isn't enough. You need to really make sure that you've got that covered up, because it will just go rock hard quite quickly and you've wasted like the outer bit of the icing. And it's not cheap. It's like £3.50 a pack just for this small little pack. So if you imagine I was making, you know, that's £3, £4 out of your budget. So like when you're charging £120 for a cake and you're like, well, you know, that teacup that I made, it cost me like £4 to make, cup and saucer. It's all got to be factored into the price of the cake. I mean, that's not even counting the skill and the time and the tools, the gas and the electricity and the light above your head. So yeah, what I like to do first is just get some icing sugar. And just coat it. Just to stop the fondant sticking. So once you've got it nice and pliable, you've not got a long time to work with it. You've got to be quick. You know, go and talk on the phone for 5 minutes. You come back, it's already started crusting over. That's the good and the bad thing about it. So you've got to work really quickly. It will stick to your rolling pin as well, more than normal fondant, so make sure you're nice and powdered up. Now, the thinner you roll it, the quicker it will dry. I tend to find that thinner is better. So, you know, if you're thinking it's going to be more sturdy because you rolled it thicker, I tend to find that's not the case. So we're rolling a circle. Get it to the thickness you desire. And then carefully drape it over. Now you can see obviously we're going to get these folds, so you need to sort of manoeuvre it so that it's snug all the way down to the bottom. Okay. It's like a ghost. So lift up the bottom and sort of straighten it out and push it back together and do what you've got to do to get rid of those folds. So you want to be sort of opening it out and then readjusting it until eventually you get back to the beginning and it's the same shape as a cup. squeeze it. See, this is the last bit now. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm sort of opening it up and then sort of pushing the creases outwards, if that makes sense. Okay. Can you see that we've now got the shape of a cup? Right, now for this bit you need a really sharp knife. This is my favourite knife. I've had this 20 odd years. I think it said it was meant to stay sharp forever, and it kind of did. It's nice when something does what it actually promises. So I'm going to pick this bit up to show you, but you might want to do it while it's on the counter. So I wouldn't suggest pulling your knife along to cut it. I'd probably go forwards, if that makes sense. So push your knife in and sort of roll it. See, that's a nice sharp cut. I don't want to drag it and disturb the shape of it. So again, take notice of where, see, that's going a bit wonky, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm cutting in a straight line. You can always adjust it at the end. It will come away because obviously it's not stuck to anything. I'm going to use the end of the knife. A bit more control. Don't forget to clean your knife every so often because it sticks to your knife, then it dries really quickly, and then when you're trying to cut a sharp cut, you won't get that clean cut because you've got flour paste stuck to your knife. Can you see where we're headed? And then if you see any bits that are, you know, like that slight bit where it's raised there, just push it down, reshape it, go back round and adjust it if you really need to, smarten it up. Just doing that to make a nice non-furry edge. You can see how, yeah, you know what I mean. Oop. And then you're going to leave that to dry. Now, I've never actually made a saucer this way, I don't think. I think back in the day, the last time I made a teacup style cake, I just cut a round circle, I think. I can't actually remember. It's on one of my really old pictures. But I figured we can do the same sort of thing. Get the shape. I've got a nice little saucer here. So I'm going to do the same thing and see what happens. I think I'm going to cut it with a round cutter. And I don't think I'm going to make it the full size because it's a 7-inch cake. And it's going to dwarf the top of the cake. So again, I'm going to roll it really thin. I'm not sure I've got enough icing here. I might have to start again, use more icing. I think that'll be alright. Let's see what cutters we've got. Well, I could have sworn I had one bigger than this. And that's definitely not big enough. So I'm just going to look for another one. Right, I couldn't find one. So I think I'm going to use a tin and try and carefully cut round it. It's not ideal. So it's a nice clean tin and it's nice and dry. So once you put it down, do not move it. And try and keep the angle of the knife the same as you're going round. And again, can you see? It's sort of dried on the end of it, so I'm just going to give that a quick wash. Okay. So keep it really sturdy and keep it pushed against the side and keep that same angle. Oh, brilliant. I thought that bit was still joined. Ooh, there we go. So we've got a perfect circle. Now this is why I love this knife, because it's got a little bit of bend to it. It's really thin and you can slice it underneath things and get them away from the kitchen side. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to get it nice and centered. And then I'm going to try and get the dent in the middle, because it's only a very subtle dent. But you can see it, and it has got this sort of curved shape. But just to give it a bit more definition, I'm going to hold it in place. Don't do it too hard, because then you'll disturb the thickness of the icing in certain places and it won't look uniform. Hopefully this will work. I'm not so sure. Once it's dry, is it going to hold the shape? I'm going to go over it with the smaller side now. Right, I'm quite happy with that. Can you see it all coming together now? And that's going to be sitting on top of that. So I usually like to make the handle when this is completely dry, because then you can judge, you know, the angles and how big it needs to be, etc. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and I'm going to move on to the next part of the cake. And don't forget to wrap your precious spare bits up. So hold it over, smudge it together, make sure there's no little excess bits that can just dry out really quickly. If it's in one clump, it's, you know, holds its moisture better. So I would do that, and I'm going to wrap it in cling film and then probably wrap it in cling film again. Now this is actually cake in progress, so I'm actually working on this right now, but I just thought I'd give you a sneak preview of what it's going to look like. Look at that, isn't it amazing? So it's probably been drying for about an hour now, and I'm just going to pull the edges away very slightly, just to make sure it's not sticking, because it's quite a large flat surface for it to be stuck to. Can you see it's coming away? This by the way is after an hour of drying. It's not quite 100% dry yet, but yeah, isn't that amazing? It's going to have some nice patterns on it that I'm going to paint on, I think. And once it's got the handle on, it's going to look great. So yeah, I'm just pulling it away a bit without changing the shape. Right, let's get my trusty knife to the rescue. Bet you wish you had my knife now, don't you? I think it's because I pushed that down so much. Oh, there we are. Cool. It's not dry yet. I'm just making sure it's not going to be too stuck. So I'll just put a bit more ice and sugar in there. How cool is that? Yay! I mean, be very light with your touch. I wasn't like squeezing it when I picked that up. And don't faff with it too much. I know it's tempting to have a look, but really, I think realistically I'm going to be leaving that overnight to dry. This is just a bow that I'm working on. That messy bit's going to be covered up.